are these people?
Here is the Fuck Israel segment for this week. Bring this over a little bit more.
Hi, Israel.
I wish, but not yet. So this is a friend of ours. I think you might know him on Twitter as 503i7. Good. He's been a friend of the network for a long time, and he wrote this interesting article. He just recently started publishing on Substack, writing a bunch of articles, sometimes even 2 and 3 a day. I mean, he's just like, it's poured out of him. And it's not AI written. He's actually writing these things. So I found this one interesting because this is called The Wolf Who Cried Bomb. And I think you and Colin have talked a little bit about Netanyahu and his history and his, fear mongering at different times in order to warn about an Iranian bomb. Well, what our friend here did was went back and documented each time that started to happen and what he had said and the rhetoric that led up to it and everything. So I thought I would bring that to start. I have a few different things, but this is, look, they're trying to orchestrate a war between the United States and Iran right now. So I thought that it was really relevant to bring this story because you've got Netanyahu really pushing the admin. You've got the administration dumping officials that are fighting the potential fight with Iran, that are saying we don't need to do this, and that this is done on behalf of Israel, and there is no strategic value to the United States to attack or to get into a war with Iran that does not want war with us, by the way. So our friend starts saying that Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly claimed over the years that Iran was on the verge of acquiring a nuclear bomb, often using these assertions to push for the U.S. to make war against Iran. So below is a detailed overview of the instances where he's made such statements. And this is very funny. A Wolf Who Cried Bomb by AIPAC. Okay. He's the shepherd with MAGA over there.
MAGA sheep.
The Democratic Party should be in there too.
Talking about it for sure.
Okay. So,
well, they're gonna bomb the U.S. Okay, let's look at who actually has fucking Samson options. Let's look at that.
And nuclear weapons, which, by the way, Alan Dershowitz either yesterday or today was interviewed and basically said, well, if there was ever a one-state solution, who would control the nuclear weapons? Thereby admitting that he knows that Israel already has nuclear weapons. Thanks. You just gave up your game. Schmuck. All right. Yeah. So what he says is that he'll critically examine the veracity of these claims, noting discrepancies and the broader context vis-a-vis the specter of a nuclear Iran. Okay. So the name of this publication, by the way, is Life and Polity. Life and Polity. So subscribe there, 50317.substack.com. All right. So 1992, as a Knesset member, Netanyahu was already starting early warnings. Okay. While a member of the Israeli Knesset claimed that Iran was 3 to 5 years away from achieving nuclear weapons capability. And he's got receipts, links to a Times of Israel article right there. All right. This early assertion set the tone for his long-standing focus on Iran as an existential threat to Israel. At the time, Iran's nuclear program was in its nascent stages, and there was little public evidence to support such a precise timeline. Well, but we all know that Israel's spying on Iran the whole time. This claim appears to have been more speculative, likely intended to raise alarm and garner international attention, especially given the lack of detailed intelligence shared publicly at that stage. That doesn't mean that they didn't claim to have it. They just didn't share it. 3 years later, he's continuing his alarm. In 95, he reiterated his concerns, again stating that Iran was 3 to 5 years from nuclear weapons capability. Again, are we detecting a theme here? 3 to 5 years is the way that he seems to fearmonger so that he never actually has to deliver on when they actually possess nuclear weapons. Again, this repetition suggested that he was trying to establish a consistent narrative, but the timeline remaining unchanged over the 3 years raises questions about the accuracy of his initial intelligence, right? So he said 3 to 5 years in 92. Now it's 95 and he's saying 3 to 5 years still. Like, what happened? Were you just full of shit last time? I guess so. During this period, Iran was still under international scrutiny, but no concrete evidence emerged to confirm that it was close to a bomb. Of course not. The static timeline could indicate either a lack of updated intelligence or a deliberate deception aimed at increasing tensions between the U.S. and Iran. Iran, of course, did not develop a nuclear bomb within 3 to 5 years, and that's what the narrator said. Right. He then gets invited to address Congress in 1996, and once again, he cries that Iran's acquisition of nuclear weapons could have catastrophic consequences for Israel, the Middle East, and the world, claiming that the deadline for attaining this goal is extremely close. No time frame. Again, while he didn't specify a timeline here, right? The language of immediacy mirror his earlier claims. So again, then you get to 2002. Now you're already post 9/11. No comments there.
Mm-hmm.
In 2002, he briefly shifted focus back to Iraq and then to Iran because he realized that he could capitalize on sending the U.S. into the Middle East and getting them entwined in a war with Iraq, which would eventually entangle them into a war with Iran. Again, talking about Iraq advancing toward the development of nuclear weapons with centrifuges the size of washing machines. Later proven false. No such program existed in Iraq. However, shortly after, he then returned to Iran, stating it was a major threat, though without a, once again, specific timeline in this instance. It's been his goal for 35 years to bring Iran to its knees and to have the U.S. invade Iran and do his dirty work. All right. The lies about Iraq damaged his credibility on such claims, yet he quickly pivoted back to Iran, right, suggesting that nuclear threats to push for military or even diplomatic action. He didn't really want diplomatic. Now he comes back into office. 7 years later, he's raising the alarm again for, now you have a new president. You got Obama coming in. So now he wants to try to control the narrative and control Obama and get Obama under heel. So what does he do? He threatens an Iranian bomb again. Right? As Prime Minister, Netanyahu told a congressional delegation that Iran was, again, here we go, probably 1 or 2 years away from developing nuclear weapons capability, according to State Department cables released by our friends over at WikiLeaks. In another meeting that year, he claimed that Iran had the capability to now make one bomb or could wait and make several bombs in a year or two. Again, completely pulling that out of his asshole. Right. These statements are notable for their specificity, but they contrast with later intelligence assessments, meaning that, again, he completely lied and just made up more detail. Right. For instance, by 2011, departing Mossad chief Meir Dagan stated that an Iranian nuclear weapon was not imminent, directly contradicting Netanyahu's claims. And let me guess, he was gone not long afterwards. This discrepancy suggests either a divergence in intelligence or a deliberate exaggeration to pressure the U.S. and allies. Again, do we see a theme here? Next year, we got 2012, the Red Line. Incoming! We have the Red Line speech at the UN in 2012, highly publicized address to the UN General Assembly at the end of September. Netanyahu famously used the cartoon bomb diagram to illustrate Iran's nuclear progress, right? Claiming that they were less than a year from developing a nuclear weapon. Again, this is 2012. He started this shit in 1992. He's already, right, 20 years in, and they haven't developed a bomb. He specified that Iran would complete the second stage of uranium enrichment, meaning 20% purity, by next spring or by at most next summer, right? But then,
Sorry,
of
you
course,
mean next Arab spring,
right? But
I
then, of
misquoted
course,
that.
the UN page is no longer available. What a shock for his
they
address.
404'd it. They 404'd it.
Right? For his own statement. They had to have just reshuffled it, would be my guess. Change, but they 404'd the original link. He also told Meet the Press that September that Iran was 6 or 7 months away, 90% of the way there by 2013. Then, of course, you had the agreement that was signed that ensured that they weren't going to develop a bomb for at least 10 years. And then Trump tore that up. So now that gave Netanyahu the ability to start fear-mongering again, claims of secret sites. All right. That was, again, only once Trump tore up the agreement, the JCPOA. There we go. Thank you for bringing it up. In 2018, Netanyahu made several statements alleging Iran's ongoing nuclear ambitions. Again, they didn't have any, or at least publicly and by all stretch of evidence. On April 30th, 2018, he presented what he claimed were stolen Iranian files, asserting that they had lied about its nuclear weapons program and was preserving the knowledge to restart it. Which, again, they could preserve knowledge. That's not illegal. But they hadn't lied about their nuclear weapons program because they had not restarted it until Trump had torn up the JCPOA, like he says here. He didn't claim Iran was currently close to a bomb, but suggested that it could quickly resume if the JCPOA ever expired. How convenient that on September 27th, he accused Iran of maintaining a secret atomic warehouse in Tehran, which is bullshit, implying ongoing nuclear weapons work despite the JCPOA. Weapons inspectors had come in and seen that there was nothing. That's nonsense. On September 9th, a year later, he claimed that a site in Abaday, Iran, where he said experiments where nuclear weapons had occurred, though he hoped that Iran destroyed it after Israel discovered it. Yeah, because they would have spent all that money and time to develop their own program and then destroy it just hearing that Israel discovered it. Without ever anybody seeing it or presenting any evidence that it existed, they would just destroy it in advance. Again, these claims lacked evidence of an imminent bomb. U.S. intelligence and the IAEA also found no violation of the JCPOA at the time and seemed aimed at undermining the deal, especially after the U.S. withdrew from it in 2018. Oh, yeah, we did. We tore it up. Now, Netanyahu finally admits that Netanyahu is claiming that Israel has delayed but not stopped Iran's path to nuclear weapons, claiming that they were again days away from enriching the uranium required for a bomb. It's been 7 years.
Why you always lying?
Stop fucking lying. Hell yeah, man.
Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
They can't. That's literally, they can't. So this is significant. It is a significant escalation in rhetoric, okay, as it's the shortest timeline he's ever given. Because he realizes that he's closer than ever to actually achieving his goal of goading the U.S. into war with Iran, in my opinion. All right. However, of course, independent verification supports this claim as of April 24th of this year. No surprise there either. He's still pulling it out his asshole.
Funny how that works.
The IAEA has not reported Iran enriching uranium beyond 60%, and we all know that weapons grade is 90%. And experts estimate that Iran would need months, not days, to produce a bomb, even at that stage, which they've never indicated they're still trying to do, even with Hezbollah and the Houthis and Syria going down and everything that's happened on the world stage and all the bluster and all the threats of attacks by Israel. They still have not indicated that they're going to do this, and they haven't created a program publicly to do it, even though they are well within their rights at this point. He says this statement aligns with Netanyahu's pattern of using urgent language to push for action, but its timing amid ongoing tensions and U.S.-Iran nuclear talks suggests a strategic motive rather than a grounded assessment. Yeah, I agree with that. So he breaks it down and says that Netanyahu's repeated claims span over 3 decades without fail. These claims feature timelines that fail to materialize every time. His 92 prediction of 3 to 5 years has been echoed in various forms, right? In 2009, in 2012, even this year, yet Iran has still never produced one nuclear weapon in 30 years. He would say that that's because of their efforts, but that's not what's going on. If they ever really tried, they would do it. They'd achieve their goals. I think they were closest when Israel planted that virus across, I think it was in 2013 or 2014, just before the JCPOA got signed. They had a nuclear program that they were planning, and there was some computer virus that was planted across all of their nuclear offices, and it blew up their entire nuclear program. It melted everything down, allegedly. All right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. All right? Nobody knows what's really true because nobody's really on the inside. Intelligence from his own agencies like the 2012 Mossad report and international bodies like the IAEA often contradict his public statements, suggesting again he may be exaggerating the threat to achieve political goals. You think? Such as derailing nuclear deals,
IAEA.
Justifying military action or right? That's not that would be the worst video game company ever. Or rallying domestic support. That's the other thing. Look, or trying to alleviate charges publicly, domestically for himself. Moreover, the broader context reveals a complex interplay of motives. Why? All right. Iran's nuclear program has advanced since the U.S. exited the JCPOA in 2018, a move that Netanyahu supported, but it's still not at the weapons-grade threshold after 7 years. But yet, for some reason, right now, Netanyahu wants to fearmonger that they're closer than ever. Again, Iran insists its program is for peaceful purposes and for power generation. While it has the technical know-how to pursue a bomb, there's no evidence it has done so since 2003, per U.S. intelligence assessments. Our own spies are saying that. Netanyahu's focus on Iran also distracts from Israel's own nuclear arsenal, which remains undeclared and uninspected, a point often raised by Iranian officials like Mohammad Javad Zarif, and also admitted to by Alan Dershowitz just today. Right? So, again, conclusion, while he's provided specific timelines, they haven't borne out. Contradictions with intelligence assessments suggest a pattern of exaggeration or outright lies. His statements appear strategically timed to influence U.S. policy, undermine nuclear agreements, or bolster his domestic standing rather than reflecting a precise actual threat. They even literally took out like diplomats in Iran and got almost no response. Without independent corroboration, their claims should be approached with skepticism. That's healthy skepticism, given the high stakes of military escalation in the region. So again, fuck Bibi, fuck Israel, because they're trying to goad us into a war that they've been trying to goad us into for 3 fucking decades. And this is the guy who's single-handedly been trying to do it.
Yeah.
Now, this definitely belonged in fuck Israel, and it's going to be really depressing, and I'm sorry, but Aya from Challenge the Narrative, ayauk.substack.com. I'm sorry, that was the wrong
Coming
thing.
to a Substack newsletter near you.
That's the one I wanted. All right. In a world of tears, we slowly drown. And just showing just some of the horrors since the ceasefire was lifted that Israel has inflicted on Palestinian children. Saba and Sana, where they look like they're like 4, maybe 5. Twins. Born together, murdered together. Disgusting. This one's bad. This child dead on the floor and no one to collect her body because everyone's dead.
Yep.
Or this baby. Oh, God. Thrown from one building to another in a blast and split in half. I'm very sorry. This is not blurred out. This is a child. One child. Split into two parts. If the images from the past 24 hours don't wake people up, nothing will. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to show this. That's two halves of a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you gave this child food now, they would never recover. Their brain will be irreversibly damaged. Because look, famine is spreading in Gaza. Gaza doesn't have enough food for the children. 8 weeks of blocking all aid in and out. While the world full of food is watching and doing nothing. Well, not doing nothing. We're watching Israel block the trucks. And nobody's stopping them. This child has no one because the fuckers killed his mother. And this is London.
They might put bullets in aid bags, so...
Mm-hmm. And this is London, where people protesting for the above to stop are arrested and imprisoned, and those who illegally fly post by sticking on lampposts I love IDF stickers can do so freely and openly, supporting a genocidal army of child rapists and murderers. Some non-genocidal person tried to remove the sticker, but the fucker was stuck on so tight they couldn't. Don't worry, though. There are plenty of other lampposts that have them. Okay, that's this. I heart the IDF. Really?
Right.
As humans of the earth do nothing, even the animals are getting fed up of this evil shit. Yes, there was a shark attack on an Israeli army reservist, and then they claimed that all sharks were Hamas. I heard the shark spit him back out.
Super rare, by the way.
I heard the shark spit him back out. Oh, there were all kinds of funny jokes made about that. It's nothing to laugh about. It's sad that shark eating people, but if they're going to eat somebody, baby murderers are a good place to start. All right. Oh, yeah, it was a guy who served in Unit 8200, too, Battalion 8207. So, another Israeli super spy tech guy taken out by a shark. Thanks, sharks. We are such a complete failure in humanity that we have redefined the world, as Aya says. To be human means to be useless, incapable, uncaring. I don't know what else there is to say, and I don't either. I'm kind of stuck and at loss for words, and I'm going to lean on Caitlin here, who says they're ripping kids in half right in front of us and telling us that we need to be mad at Kneecap and Miss Rachel. Fuck Israel. And so I'm going to bring...
Which I'm mad at Kneecap for capitulating and going, we never support Hamas or Hezbollah. But those IRA balaclavas are fine. Okay. So
Caitlin and Tim, Caitlin wrote her latest one, or one of her latest says, nobody say fuck Israel, free Palestine. So I'm going to let Tim do this one. This is a short one. It's about 2.5 minutes, and I adore them, and this is great. And I'll scroll along.
Nobody say fuck Israel, free Palestine.
Oh, here.
Nobody say fuck Israel, free Palestine. Saying fuck Israel, free Palestine is very offensive to people who think genocide is good. When you say fuck Israel, free Palestine, you are hurting the feelings of the people who believe it's fine to bomb every hospital in Gaza. So you must never, ever say fuck Israel, free Palestine. Who do you think you are, saying fuck Israel, free Palestine? Don't you know that by saying fuck Israel, free Palestine, you are causing the people who applaud the deliberate starvation of an entire civilian population to become emotionally upset? Instead of saying fuck Israel, free Palestine, you should try putting yourself in the shoes of the tender-hearted individuals who support the complete ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. They're just minding their own business, merrily celebrating the carpet bombing of a giant concentration camp full of children, and then you come along and ruin their day by saying, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." What a cruel and hateful thing that would be. I mean, all they are doing is cheerleading the mutilation, evisceration, and incineration of children, and the assassination of journalists and medical workers, and the systematic destruction of civilian infrastructure, and the complete flattening of an entire region whose population they are methodically exterminating via bullets, bombs, starvation, and disease. It's not like they're doing anything nasty or disgusting, like saying offensive words. Offensive words like, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." So don't say, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." Under no circumstances should anyone ever say, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." And they must certainly never say, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine," as many times as they possibly can, every single day until Palestine is free, and get everyone else to say it constantly as well. Again, the phrase you must avoid saying at all costs is, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." Fuck Israel, free Palestine.
Remember, you got that? Nobody's allowed to say, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine." Uh-huh.
What do you say when "fuck Israel, free Palestine" isn't enough?
Well,
You know?
Israel doesn't have the right to exist.
More importantly, what do you do?
Well, BDS to
It's
start.
going to need something done. That'd help.
Yeah. Well, you got to do something. And we are certainly not doing nothing. Showing the horrors to the people that deny it or want to bury their head in the sand is something. Making them face it and deal with it. I don't know how much that really has any effect on them, honestly. I think they're monstrous. A lot of them are monstrous people, or they are just unable to rationalize or come to grips with the fact that they have been enabling and empowering and even encouraging this. And the ones that are owning it, man, they are just unabashed about it. And it's so gross to see. Well,
real disgusting.
Yep. So we certainly will not be monetized for showing a segment like that. So if you are able to and you can support independent media, please do. The best ways to do that are Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. You can subscribe monthly or annually at innnewsletter.com for free or for a monthly subscription for some money if you can. Thank you so much, really. Yeah, where's the that's White Gladys's cousin? I don't know. I hope so. They're awesome. That shark, baby shark, do eating soldiers, do. Let's do that more, do. I saw a sign also. I think it was in Thailand. There was a sign on a window that basically said IDF soldiers not welcome. And we'll call the cops basically.
Which will only be used to like, look, it's anti-Semitic.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So Golden Monarch, I agree. Horrible. I mean, I hated showing those images. I think that again, we have to show them. You cannot turn away. This is the people. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Fred.
Hey.
I hope PayPal will actually allow your donation to go through. Fred says you're not allowed to say "fuck Israel, free Palestine." That's right. And he's got a bunch of flags on there. $5. Thanks, Fred. Love you, man. Hilarious, but at the same time, not hilarious at all. Yeah, that gets us to 37% of our $2,000 goal towards the year. So thank you for that. Support independent media because we need it more than ever, folks. Love you all. See you soon.
Keep listening to what little birds have to tell you. Good night, fam.
We are out of here. Bye, Felicia.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.